lasted until 1116, when there was a fire amongst the outbuildings that spread to the wooden abbey as well, and everything was destroyed. And then this third building is the one built of stone. It is built of Barnack stone. You two are from Oxfordshire. Are you local, sir?
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, right. Nobody knows where Barnack is. Barnack is a village in between here and Stamford. It is about 8 miles away from here. And at the time, the abbey owned the quarry at Barnack. The stone was taken from the quarry, taken by land to Wansford, which is another village in northwest Cambridgeshire, and then it was floated down the Nene and brought to the cathedral that way. You'll see the significance of the Nene when we get to the top of the tower from there. So without further ado...
So is it a limestone or a sandstone?
It's limestone.
It's limestone.
It's obviously pretty durable because of the west front.
Yes.
Was made from it. I mean, it's held up remarkably well.
Well, wait until you get upstairs,
Get upstairs
and see some cut Barnack stones there.
Ah, right.
If you have a look on the attached pillars on either side of the arches, it was taken down and rebuilt in the 19th century. And you'll see, if you feel behind, you can see that they've put the worn side backwards when they rebuilt in the 19th century.
Right. Clever. Right.
Right, we're going down this side.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different, it's a bit different standard house.
Mind the house, I don't exactly know what that's there for. It's presumably something to do with radio, right? You've got all the abbots and bishops and deans of the cathedral all listed there. Right, you're now under the central tower of Peterborough of the cathedral. As originally constructed, there were a further 2 layers above what you see now, together with a steeple on top. But when it was rebuilt in the... Did that come down in the 13th century or the 18th century?
They took the original tower was in the same style, the Norman Romanesque style, with the arches as the rest of the people. But because it was, as Keith said, high, it was too heavy for these pillars, so they took it down in the 14th century and rebuilt it as it was.
Oh right, so it's the 14th century that sort of reduced it down to one layer, not the 18th century one. The pillars did not support the weight of the tower, so there was rebuilding in the 14th century.
This is a silly question, but how did they know? Did something happen and they thought,
Bits started to fall off a
Oh,
bit,
right.
like they did in the 19th century. There's a photograph that we've got upstairs of a large crack in that pillar, and
Oh, right.
masonry was coming down, falling on
yeah,
top again.
that would be a cause for concern, wouldn't it?
Yes. So That lasted up until the 1870s when again, this crack appeared, and the Dean and Chapter at the time obtained 2 quotes for the rebuilding. One was to take it down to first floor level and rebuild up from there, and the second quote was to take it all the way down to ground floor level and rebuild from ground floor upwards. The cheapest quote, believe it or not, was to take it down to the ground floor and rebuild upwards, so that contractor was engaged. And at the time when they were doing the renovation works, they went down about 20 further feet in the foundations and found the last finger of limestone coming from the west. So the tower is now anchored to that limestone, and all of the pillars which you see now are filled with blue engineering bricks, very commonly used on railway arches. So it has been substantially strengthened then, so for your hour and a half around the tower, everything will be fine.
It's me.
But I'm going to say there's a lot of rebuilding works done here in the 1880s, 1890s, because the choir stalls were all altered. The marble floor was installed, the high altar was installed. You'll see all those as we go around. Right, where we are going is through a door in the north transept up to the first floor or triforium level, and then we are going to move this way from that corner to this pillar, and then all the way around the back of the high altar.
Oh, wicked.
Along that side, all the way round the south transept to this corner, and then we will pause opposite the organ and you'll get a better view of the ceiling from up there. And then we can't get all the way around, unfortunately, because of the extension built on. The first floor doesn't go all the way around. Then we have to come all the way back to this corner, across in front of those 3 windows there, up a spiral staircase to the north transept roof void. So just make a mental note of that roof there, because you'll be walking on top of it.
Wicked.
Don't worry about it, madam, we're fine. There is a wooden gangway, and then you come out directly above our heads here, once round the tower, and then up in one corner of the tower, out onto the roof at the top, and then up by the flagpole. Then all the way down, and then back along the north nave roof. So, which is along this side. So hopefully it'll have stopped raining by then. So we'll get cracking now. Sorry?
Want to save the people.
But sometimes someone needs to park the car.
Oh, so glamorous.
Herod Arms is in previous nativity play or something. The Herod Arms.
Yes.
Local pub.
Right, we are now going up the first spiral staircase. Handrail on the left hand side, just take your time and everything will be fine. And sort of keep to the left hand side where the step is the biggest,
Okay.
which is logical.
Lighting a candle.
That was hard work.
There was a bit more to do yet, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
The next half hour was all on the level, so that's fine. Right, the reason that I've paused here is, sorry, I'll come a bit closer, there's too much noise with carts in and out. A, for you to catch your breath, and B, to look at these two windows. These are the last two remaining Norman windows in the building. All the other windows have been converted to the Gothic windows, which you see behind you and over there and all over the building. The reason these two remain is that there used to be a lady chapel on the outside of this part.
Saw that yesterday.
Yeah. Of the building, so these two windows were never altered. But sort of, if you just imagine going back to Norman times, small windows, there will be no glass, so come winter, well, I'm going to say, it will be cold, yes, but the windows will be stuffed full with bales of hay, animal hides, whatever they could get their hands on, and instead of all the modern electric lighting which abounds everywhere now, tallow candles, so it would have been a very dark, atmospheric place. The Lady Chapel that was there fell into disrepair in the 16th century, and the stone from there was sold by Cromwell to the St John family. They built Fort Hall in Peterborough. Fort Hall will mean nothing to you, but that is the headquarters of the Sue Ryder Foundation, and you will see Fort Hall from the roof of the cathedral as well, and its significant position in Peterborough. And a lot of the stone from here was sold to the Cambridge colleges as well. Burton College has a lot of farmland stone. So when converting these normal windows to the much bigger Gothic windows, there was difficulty at ground floor level because the Gothic windows are much bigger. So what they actually did was punch holes in the floor, and you can see when you walk past here, the floor is raised to get the window in downstairs.
Did they put glass in them?
And so the glass came along in the 13th, 14th century, right. So that came along later.
Yeah.
And sort of, you can also see that sort of the roof has been raised here as well to accommodate the Gothic windows, because it used to go to just above where the normal windows are, whereas now it's raised to up there to accommodate the Gothic windows.
So it's generally the case that any windows before the 13th century would have been either open or jammed full of
exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
or dark, basically.
Yes, this is it. I assume it would have been open during the summer and then
because there was
virtually dark during the winter. Yes.
Yes.
Right, moving on. Mind all the trip hazards which you're going to come across here. So you can see there where they point to the floor downstairs.
No, people think of their sort of frozen time, but
Right, so you mentioned about how did they know the pillars were faulty. There's the crack in 1883.
Yeah, crikey, that is a big crack.
Well, this is it. You could get a person in there.
Crikey.
Like I say, that's what caused all the rebuilding works to be undertaken.
We won't be getting up into a gap like that.
No, I know. This is it. I'm just saying that is the pillar which is there. I'm saying that's just a photograph of the two windows which
Oh, yeah, yeah.
which we've just walked past, and sort of you can see the brickwork is slightly different shaded there. It's not as weathered as the rest of the building. Right. We mentioned weathering of Barnack stone. You won't know the geography of this particular area, but Peterborough sits on the main north-south railway line. King's Cross in the south, Newcastle, York, Scotland, Leeds, Yorkshire in the north, and it's also on the crossing of an east-west line. The line from Cambridge, Ely, Norwich and March comes through here and used to go to Rugby, Northampton, Leicester and Birmingham, so it's at a crossroads. There used to be a large engine shed just to the north of the current station, which had 280 steam locos based there. So you can imagine the amount of smoke which was coming out of those each day. Also, the local geography of Peterborough is that we sit on clay, which is extremely useful for the construction of bricks. And there used to be brickworks all around the city. Ferry Meadows, the country park, if you've been there or planning to go there, the lakes there are former brick
Is that
pits.
nearby?
That is nearby, yes.
What was it called, sorry?
Ferry Meadows.
Ferry Meadows.
It's a
Is
country.
it signposted?
It is signposted, yes. You can get there either by bus or there is the Nene Valley Railway goes from Peterborough Nene Valley through Ferry Meadows up to Wansford. There's a free train running today because it's the Peterborough Celebrates Festival.
A free train? Oh, right.
I'm going to say that also runs tomorrow as well.
Is it,
Free
how
train.
far away? My bike is locked up outside.
Oh, how far away is it? It'll be 3 or 4 miles.
Oh, that's, okay, I could do that, no trouble.
Yeah, just about 3 or 4, isn't it? Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a guess. And sort of,
it's
once
probably,
you-
a bit less, actually.
Yeah, it is probably a bit less. Once you get on the right footpath to get there, we'll talk about that when we're finished.
Yeah, okay.
Hang on a sec, the gentleman's got the map, but
So
anyway, never mind.
what would they use this space for?
Right, oh, hang on. Oh, it's all right. You're
right.
jumping on a bit. It's all right. I was just talking about the brickworks. I'm going to say all of the clay then went in the brick kilns to be heated up to 1300 degrees, and what comes out of the top of the brick chimney is sulphur. Sulphur mixed with all the steam came down as acid rain. There we have the effect on carved Barnack stone. And I think you asked the question before we set off. I'm going to say if it's not carved, it is fine. But sort of as soon as it's carved, it weakens the stone and it is prone to acid rain. Yes. You may have noticed these templates on the wall. They were actually used for the construction of the main pillars of the cathedral. They used to build up and then use the template to make sure that they were going up straight, and then sort of build up another level. And the holes in the pillars which you see, like that one's been filled in, that one's been filled in,
Yeah.
but those up there, there's one up there which there's still a gap and one over there. Those are known as put logs because you used to sort of build up to one level, put your log in, create a floor, build up the next level. I'm going to say so those are put log holes, and we'll come on to that a bit more later. But that's what all of those are used for. There's 2 here, we've walked past 2 and there's a few more around the other side. Well, I'll get to you and the question about this in a minute. Now, what about this semicircular device behind you? Any idea what that may have been used for? It was outside.
A sundial?
No, I'm going to say it was attached to a wall and it is called a lavatorium. But don't go to the obvious thing, go to the Latin, where lava means sun.
Washing.
So this would be, there would be running water in here. All monks would sort of come from their dormitories out on the south side, wash their hands on the way in, because cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yep.
Wow.
And we've just sort of brought it in here to preserve it, and that is marble, but it's not polished marble, it's... No, is it marble?
It's called all water.
Yeah, that's right, it's all water marble,
Oh,
yeah,
isn't it
but it's
nice?
crushed. It's crushed. Seashell.
So it's actually it's a polish because it's got lots of oyster shell in it.
So that's oyster shells.
High volume oyster shells.
High,
high
yeah.
proportion. Yeah.
So they're very compressed, basically.
They're very compressed.
And you
yes.
can polish.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a dark colour, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's quite similar to Purbeck marble.
Ah, right, yeah. Yeah.
Which has got, yes, when you look closely at Peterborough, it's got lots of the squiggly bits in it.
Yeah.
which
And
is,
if you look around the front on the floor,
Ferry Meadows place, did you say that there was a train from the train station?
No, it's not from the train station, it's there's a preserved heritage line, runs from Peter. I'll tell you about it later
Yes.
when we go out.
Yes.
Right, I'm going to say, and these four are all statues which have been removed from the west front. The gentleman on the right here is St Matthias. When you leave the building, if you turn round and look back, on the right hand side, second one along, there is a gap. That's where he came from. Now the Victorians made an attempt to mould concrete and Barnack stone together.
Right.
Not successful, which is why he's still here. So, there were some people from Birmingham yesterday, Mark, who almost offered their stonemason to make another statue. So I said we probably haven't got the funds to pay him. But, yes, I know. This is it. It's all right. We can all come up here and stand on the level. It's far easier on the feet than standing on an incline. You were asking what this was used for in times gone by now.
Yeah.
We have decoration here
Oh, yes.
and decoration of the first column. So we think that this may have been used, there may have been 3 chapels up here,
Oh, right.
as well as the 3 on the ground floor, which you'll see when we walk round the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, we're now going round the back of the high altar. Since there's only 3 of you, I can talk when I get round the back rather than shout across. Things to look out for before we get there. On the pillars on the right hand side, you will see various mason's marks, triangular lines. The mason's marks here at this end from 1118 are very similar to the ones at the far end in 1238. Now, it wasn't the same chap doing all the building, but what we think it was is the same family of masons, and sort of it went from grandfather to father to son, passed down the generations, because in medieval times life expectancy was 40 or 50 years at most.
So, and are the and the marks, are they to enable them to sort of put the right Lego bits together?
No, it's
Or
the
is it-
marks are there because they were paid piecemeal. So
Oh, right,
sort
okay.
of when the, well, I won't say foreman, but whoever it was, clerk of works, who they came round at the end of the week, they had their mark on that stone, so they were paid for. They were paid for the fixing of that stone. So there's a step down here and another step just round the corner, so just mind those, and then I will stop halfway around.
Wow.
is it since? Oh, it's all right. Since you're talking about the glass, I'll mention the glass first. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, he's taking the photo.
That's all right.
Talk away.
No, it's all right. I was waiting for the other gentleman. Right, the lady's been looking at the glass. Now, what she hasn't noticed yet is that this stained glass window, all of it, was completed in the 17th century using glass from the cathedral grounds, and it was completed by Dean Tarrant. It is the best of a bad job, because if you look at this gentleman, well, I say gentleman, person with the blue cloak here, there is no head on him. There is a head down there, another head there, and there are arms and legs scattered about all over. So that is only noticeable from when you get close up to it. You can't notice it, you don't notice it from downstairs. So I'm going to say that's the glass. Turning round the other way, Peterborough Cathedral is one of the few cathedrals where you can see from end to end. If you sort of think of Westminster Abbey coronation of King Charles last year, there are rood screens separating at each end of the choir and the chancel from one end of the building to the other. The high altar, which is directly in front of you, is made of Derbyshire alabaster pillars and an Italian marble top. What you can also see round on that wall and this wall are outlines of heraldic shields etched onto the wall themselves. Now, at the time of the Norman conquest, the abbey was loyal to King Harold, so when William became king, a tax was imposed on the abbey that the abbey had to provide 80 knights upon demand for use in the king's service. This was a very heavy burden on the abbey, so that was recouped by coming to an agreement with the knights themselves that upon their death the abbot would place their shield close to the high altar, and that would ease their passage into heaven, and in return for that the abbot would take a third of the estate of the knight who just died.
It's all down to deals, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this is it, all down to deals.
That's right.
The ceiling which you see is still, no, that's right. When Cromwell came to the area, he had his horses and army stabled inside the building. That was used as target practice, and has still got quite a bit of musket shot in it if we ever care to go up there and pick it all out again. Was that restored in the 1880s? Or?
Yeah, a little bit earlier than that, I think, by one of the Wyatts.
Right.
Okay. And it's very kind of arts and crafts, isn't it?
Yes.
It's very,
There's
pretty Raphaelite stuff going on
the central Christ in Majesty of Vesica. He had a contemporary picture of what it would have been like originally, so that's probably fairly accurate. But the rest, the apostles in vine trails, is his own device.
Yeah. And who was it? Wyatt?
No, sorry, I got that completely wrong. It's one of the Gilbert Scotts.
Right.
Gilbert
Okay.
Scott, yeah.
Okay.
It's just, there's a thing downstairs that tells you. Completely different to the other room.
Yeah, to the other one, yes, which we'll see a bit better in a minute. Mind a step in a minute. Above your head, repeating through the engine.
do apologise.
That's all right. We'll get a chance again.
Welcome to the Cathedral's lapidarium or stone museum. These are all bits of stone which have been collected from the cathedral.
I can really see myself ending up on my bottom.
Over the years. So just get down here on the level.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well done.
I'm notoriously clumsy.
Oh, right, don't worry about it. So I mentioned sort of fillings in pillars in the 13th century, and sort of rubble like that would have been used for the pillars. There's some stone down in the red buckets at the far end which has come back from Thorpe Hall. That was found there in a garden wall. Was there lightning conductor? They've moved the lightning conductor ever since they had the tidy up, haven't they?
I wasn't aware of the lightning conductor.
There used to be one there, a former stone one, where you could see the bit of metal through it, but it's
You can't
gone
make a
now.
lightning conductor out of stone, Keith.
Well, there was... They had stone going anyway.
They might need it today, you know.
Do you mean it's in that
Oh, it's in the
pinnacle? It's in the pinnacle. Yeah.
Anyway, never mind. Right, other bits of stone of note, the bit at the top there with the circular pattern on it, that is...
You've forgotten, haven't you?
Yes, I've forgotten. It's not Anglo-Saxon, it's not like
It's old.
yeah, it's from the 600s, and that one there is potentially Roman.
This one.
That one, yes, and sort of that's just been found amongst the grounds because the A1 goes north-south, and sort of this is the most easterly crossing of the River Nene. So,
Yes.
I'm going to say there used to be a large Roman camp just outside
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
Peterborough, yeah. At Norman Cross, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the design of the Roman surface is not dissimilar from the Celtic cross.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, this is it. So they've just all like sort of been found in the grounds and stored here.
It's a big jigsaw puzzle. Thank goodness for post-it notes.
Yes, we do.
That's the metal. Yes, there. Yes.
What's that painting over there on just this room?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. That's the colour. That's the other. That is the only internal of the building. I'm going to say, and that is the only piece which remains here now. I'm going to say because it's all been cleaned off over the years. And sort of, you can say as well. I'm saying if it was also that colour inside as well, then that would have made it much, much darker. I'm going to say this is the stone which has come back from Thorpe Hall. Here we have a lead-lined medieval font which was in use here. At the time of Cromwell's arrival, someone had the good sense to take the font which is in use now out of the building, and that was found in the Dean's Gardens in the late 19th century in use as a plant pot holder, and then sort of realised what it was and brought it back in, and sort of this very plain font, which would have been appropriate for Cromwell's time, was brought back up here.
When you say appropriate, because it's simplicity.
Simplicity, plainness, I'm going to say any glorifications or effigies were out of the window at that time.
Yes. Anyway, make a good bird bath.
Exactly.
I'm not religious at all, but this is fascinating.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
I'm just a weddings and funeral type of person.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't drive,
Yeah.
I can appreciate a nice car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to do this for ages, and I woke up this morning and I thought if I go back to bed, I woke up about 7, I thought if I go back to bed, when I wake up it'll be 11:30, I would have wasted the day. So I thought...
Yeah, well, there you go. Great use of the day.
Right, small staircase, no handrail. We are going across a spiral staircase, so just sort of take time getting onto the spiral staircase, and then we need to
Okay.
go through your feet straight away.
We'll follow you step by step.
Yeah. Chris, you would hate this. Oh shit. I'm so sorry, fella.
Right? No problem, no problem.
You're a gentleman.
So this would be sort of that marketry, isn't it?
Yes, it's intended to be
Yeah, Deb. You would not have liked this, Chris. Wonder what that is.
I think it's the sound system.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all right. I just glanced at it. We're all right.
So the ceiling. But you mean for the
Yes.
right, yeah.
Right, we've paused here. We are now opposite the cathedral's organ. At the time of its installation in the 1890s, it was the largest organ in the country. It isn't now. In the it was built by William Hill, former manufacturers of Durham.
Not the bookies.
Not the bookies, no. I'm going to say, us guys always remember William Hill and who built the organ. There was a problem with it when we took on visiting choirs and visiting orchestras, in that it didn't play at concert pitch. So this involved removing all of the pipes, sending them back to Durham where they were lengthened, and then they were brought back here, and it now plays perfectly at concert pitch. How many pipes in said organ in the office?
24.
24? Well, you can see more than 24.
I've got no idea.
Hundreds,
No, thousands.
Okay, well, this is then.
Thousands.
5,280.
Good Lord.
Well, sort of, they're all at the front here for effect, and then laid down the side there, over there, and here, there, and there. Yeah, this is different, yeah.
Different fruity bases.
Yes, I know, this is it. Now, the organist now sits underneath our feet, over there. So how does he play the organ?
The mirrors help with that. Okay. Yeah.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth, which there's a, there's a
Did you say Bluetooth?
Bluetooth. Yeah.
So the organist sits down here,
Yeah.
the instrument's over there.
So how does
So the keyboard is down here,
Yes.
and then it triggers the
It triggers the
mechanism
sound
on the
mechanism
other side of the
over
building.
there.
of which there's going to be a half-second delay. Because
This is it.
Bluetooth is annoyingly out of sync with reality. I think. But I mean, obviously, in a building like this, that's not.
So where did the organist used to sit underneath it?
I need to ask the organist that, and I bet he doesn't know. No, because they're all young, right?
My lenses up.
It is a very interesting design. If you go up from where the cross is, there is a panel edged in green with a white goat and a monkey riding backwards talking to an owl. If you just go up from the cross to the ceiling, And they say, and you see the white goat with the monkey riding backwards and the owl.
Oh, got goat.
All on the same panel. Or we think it depicts folly because the goat was the transporter of criminals to the prison at the time. The monkey is a street animal, and at the time the owl was deemed to be an unclean bird since it only flew at night and it found its nest.
Right, it wasn't wisdom.
It wasn't wisdom as we take it to be now. But as I've said, each particular lozenge either depicts a picture which symbolises something or is a painted. They were painted on the floor 14th century and 13th century and then nailed up there in 1236.
There's a guy playing a fiddle.
Coming for the photo behind you, sir.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right. Right, I'm going to say the first floor level does not go all the way around the cathedral. If you look at the fourth pillar down, you can see the commencement of an archway there. That, we think, is where the original plans for the cathedral ended. And if it had ended there, we think it may have looked like something like that, which is starting at the end of the cathedral. There's a triangle in France. And they're saying that is, and you can see all the rounded normal windows on there.
Okay. Because the stone at Cannes is really hard, isn't it? It was brought across to make this Tower of London. Right, okay. And some of the southern cathedral places like Winchester. What's there at Winchester is all post-conquest. So, and William Conqueror owned quarries at Cornwall. So,
That's the original design. Had it stopped at that fourth arch there, you can see there's the commencement of an arch.
yeah.
Yes, and they're saying that's what it would have looked like had it stopped there. That's the cathedral in
Very
France.
nice.
Yes. Right, but sort of the Abbot received sort of more cash in, and there was a bit of competition with Ely as to who had the longest nave. So. So a few more names.
well, I noticed that is longer now, but Peterborough, the body of the cathedral, was in 1238. At Ely, everywhere to the east of the octagon in the middle has been taken down and rebuilt. So, okay, so what we don't know. It must be known how long Ely was as a Norman building, but I don't think. Well, I don't know how long Ely was as a Norman building.
Well, this is it. We'll keep out of politics.
But interestingly, because you mentioned about the Lady Chapel that's now missing.
Yeah.
Because of course Ely's got one, isn't it? A beautiful Lady Chapel to the
Lady
side.
Exactly the place where ours was.
Yeah. How interesting. You've been to Ely?
Yes,
Ely
yes,
Cathedral,
yes.
It's fantastic. Isn't
Yeah.
It?
Right, I will hand over to you. So now to take us all the way back.
With you first of all is to take you all the way back round. So,
Yeah. Have you done Hertford? Hertford Cathedral, because you live in Hertfordshire, you said.
Yeah, I didn't I was in Hertford the other day. Hertford, as in where the canals are.
Well, I don't know where, I can't remember. I don't know if I've been to Hertford Cathedral. Is it?
No, it's at St Albans.
Oh, right.
Hertfordshire,
Of
isn't it?
course. Oh, right.
Hartford hasn't got
Isn't there one in
one, has
Hertford
it?
itself?
I have been to Hertford several times because they've got lots of nice canals. Because you can ride all the way up to.
Say, just mind this.
Yeah. I started there where I went one time and I just rid up to Ware. But then in the summer of last year, I had my bike and I rode up to Hertford, then Ware, then up to Broxbourne, right up to the Olympic Village.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, yeah, down the Lee Valley.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, we were told that that's the Rossetti window, that one on the left.
Ah, right, the pinkish one. Yeah, 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 yeah. With some sort of martyrdom going on it or something.
Yes.
It's about young men in trouble.
Oh dear. Oh, dear, my goodness, that was sad. Right. Oh, my goodness. Okay, you're right. There's this dodgy
Thank
step
you.
here.
Yeah, so just mind this bit onto the staircase.
Yeah.
Step off, and then you're on the level.
It's all fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, I know. This is it.
After all this exertion, I'll need to sit down and a cold drink.
Oh, well, as I say, just save yourself, because the next time is double the length of the first.
Yes. The ones at the sides have beat. So you can see here the three lines in the shield there, the medieval. There's actually quite a lot of medieval glass in that one.
Curious.
Go back and get him.
We'll wait for us. I think they're on their way.
I'll tell him to keep up. So use this ceiling. This is a newer ceiling.
No, this is also mostly wood from the 13th century, but they've all been restored.
Yeah.
So some of the wood won't be that old.
Yeah.
Typically, it's about 70 to 80% 13th century wood.
Barry, we have to keep up because something's going on with this tour house.
We do need to finish this so the 11:45
Yeah.
hour can happen.
Yeah.
I've no idea what time it is.
11 o'clock. Come on.
Right, okay.
Stop dawdling.
About 60 steps. One is really big,
Oh, 60.
but there's a couple of handles to help you pull
Yeah.
yourself up,
Yeah.
or you can avoid it by going round to the right.
Okay.
Brilliant, thank you.
Oh, bugger me.
You alright? Lost your glasses?
No, I just... Because I've got little legs, I'm at a certain disadvantage.
That's fine. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, go on now.
Nearly there.
So that's the top of the roof. You can see the diamond shaped panels. It's got canvas over it here at the moment, so the dust doesn't get through.
Yeah. Oh, that says 1924 on there.
Okay, so we're above the north transept now, and this is the roof structure. If you go to Lincoln or Wells, they've got their medieval roofs almost complete. But here, as you can see down there, most of this roof is only 100 years old. And if you look at the beams, you can see that beams like this one here are machine cut. They've got good smooth edges.
Yeah.
But a few of the medieval beams have been reused. specifically the one under my feet here and the one down just in front of Keith and running along there. And you can see that those are medieval because the surfaces are much less smooth, and you can see the adze marks, the marks of the little axes that the medieval carpenters used to make them. And in fact, if you look down at the other end, you can see that the shape of the tree is still there on the edges of the beams.
Yeah.
Now, when the reason why the roof has been replaced is because in the 1920s it was found there was a lot of death watch beetle in it. Modern thinking is that death watch beetle wouldn't have eaten into the heartwood and they could have left the old medieval structure, but they replaced most of it. And they found that these beams here, down at this end, were better preserved than the beams at the other end, and they thought that was because there was this window here. They thought the death watch beetle didn't like the light, but in fact the death watch beetle aren't that much bothered about the light. The difference is probably to do with the acidity or alkalinity of the wood. So they put these windows in all the way round, both the north transept and the south transept and the nave and the chancel, to discourage the death watch beetle, but it hasn't made any difference. If you breathe in, you can tell that we use chemical methods to discourage the death watch beetle these days. So there are two parts to the structure. There's this part, which is the roof structure. It supports the roof, which as you'll see when we get outside, is a slate roof here. Quite unusually, most cathedrals have lead roofs or occasionally copper roofs. And that's one part of the structure. That's a queen post structure because there are two verticals supporting it here. And then between those, these structures here, there are two between these two roof structure things. And these are things that the ceiling hangs from. So the structure is a little bit different to how it was originally. We've got this, as I say, this green post structure and then this arrangement here. And we'll see a little bit of the original roof structure as we go round. I don't know if Keith mentioned there was a fire here in 2001 and there was, most of the damage was smoke damage. So for cleaning the smoke damage up here, because you can't stand on the canvas down there, because it's just got the roof timbers underneath it, which are less than a centimetre thick, and you just go through. The cleaners had sort of backpack vacuum cleaners on, and they abseiled down to the ceiling. And if you look up, you can see there are some red clips to tie them on so that they could abseil down there. Right.
Wow.
So these are actually the same sorts of timbers as we were looking at, are they? These are the oak, the timbers underneath the canvas.
I think it's oak. Oh, you mean the roof? Yeah. It's mostly oak. All of the ceilings in the north transept, south transept, and the nave are basically original, but there's been a bit. They've been restored, and they're typically about 70 to 80% original oak timber, and the rest is both different woods and different periods. The restorations were when the repainting was done in the 1740s and the 1830s. Right, so we're going to walk down the gantry over the north transept ceiling, and we're going to go up this fairly steep ladder at the end. There's a very low door, so be careful of your head on the door. It's not of the thickness of a normal door, it goes right through the tower wall. So don't lift your head up too soon. And when we get out the other side, we'll be in the tower space. And this is the only place where people normally find there's a bit of a vertigo problem. So if you are struggling with it, let me know. Before we go through, if you notice there's an arch built into the wall here, and it goes right through the tower wall. And that's doing most of the work in supporting the weight of the tower.
Wow.
The important thing is to duck here.
I don't think that's an issue for me.
Yeah, I think it, yes, you're well as that.
I think
You need
it's
to
probably
duck
all
to
of
get
us, though.
through there, and you need to duck for a long time as well.
Crikey, yes, I do have to duck. It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Okay, so as Keith explained, the tower was reconstructed in the 1880s, and if you look down at your feet, you can see the stones have got numbers on them. Mine is X1, X19, and the ones on this side have an N on because we're on the north side of the tower.
Yeah.
That's just so that they can put them back in order. You see them roughly in order, 17, 18, 19 down here. What's the question?
Oh, no.
Right, so if you look at the tower, we'll start at the top and work down. When Pearson rebuilt the tower, he rebuilt it with the original 14th century wooden roof. And yes, it's 14th century. And it was repainted in Norman times, but the bosses are all original. So if you look at the centre boss, that's got the father with his hand raised in blessing. And then if we work out from that, round that we've got 8 diamonds, each with an angel in. The angels are carrying shields which have the instruments of the Passion on them. So you've got a cross against a red background for crucifying Jesus, the nails for hammering him on, and then a crown of thorns against red backgrounds, against the blue background. You've got the, for example, the inscription that Pilate put on top of the cross, I, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews, but in Latin. We go out a bit further, we've got green men. They're not actually green, but they've got foliage growing out from them, so they count as green men. And the foliage is mostly golden in this particular case. And then if we go out on the diagonal ribs, as the last boss out, on each of the diagonal ribs are the symbols of the evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. So if we look on the far side over there, the last rib out, last boss out on the diagonal rib, that's an eagle for St. John. On this side, up to your right, gentlemen probably can't see it, there's an angel for St. Matthew. Above us here, there's a lion for St. Mark, a winged lion. And then at the far side, there's a bull for St. Luke. And just occasionally, the people who built it have been a little bit cheeky. So if you look above us here, the last one boss out on the rib that goes to that arch there, we've got a chap who's sticking his tongue out at us.
Yeah, gurning or something.
Yeah. So if we come down, if you look at the windows, if you look at the window straight ahead of us, you can see that the tracery is all symmetrical. But if you look at the one to the right, the bottom layer of windows, you can see that the tracery at the top is pretty random. So people suggested the pattern is like a guttering candle, and most of them are like that, fairly randomly done. And probably that's just because the masons were allowed to entertain themselves, because it wasn't going to be visible to most people. And the other thing about these windows is that they're the only windows which are double glazed in the building, and that it's not to keep the heat in or to keep the sound out. Well, it is sort of to keep the heat in. When we had the fire, people realised that if there was a big fire, then eventually the glass would break in the tower windows, and then the hot air would rush out and act like a chimney and fan the flames underneath. So the double glazing was put in after the fire, actually not all that long ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, to just give the fire brigade a little bit of extra time before that chimney effect took place. And if we go down a little bit further, you can see that on the south side, away from us, we've kept the original circular Norman arch, but on the east, this way to your left, and west to the right side, the Gothic arches, which were put in the 14th century, are there. And that's fortunate because I think the Romanesque arches are rather beautiful. And the reason why they're there is because if they weren't there, if we had a pointed arch which came up to the level of the others, you'd be able to see through the top of it into the transept roof spaces. So although we've kept the Romanesque arches. You can see, as I pointed out as we came up the steps, there's an arch in the wall which is actually doing the work of supporting the weight of the tower, the Gothic arch. The pointed Gothic arches are much better at supporting weight than the circular Romanesque ones. Okay, we're going to walk around. You can take your time to an extent, we're going to end up on the far side there. So have a look down, the wonderful views into the cathedral.
This is the narrow.
Don't go to the
Those were from the 1880s, 1890s, when a lot of renovation works was done on the floor.
Okay, so if you look from here, I'll just point out a couple of things that you can see from here. The first one is the pavement in the chancel. This is called the Cosmati pavement. It's made by Italian craftsmen who've been making pavements like this for hundreds of years. And a much more famous one is the one at Westminster Abbey. The King was crowned on just over a year ago. So if you look at it, you can see it becomes more and more ornate as you move from this end towards the high altar, and it's incredibly complex if you actually get up to just the step under the high altar. And if you go down and look at the ciborium or the baldacchino over the high altar, you'll see that there's even more intricate mosaic on top of that. And the other thing that you can see from here is the cathedra, the bishop's throne, which was used recently. The bishop was enthroned in February. And that's a Victorian structure, and the building is a cathedral because it has that cathedra in it, down on the pillar to the right there. Okay, we're going to climb up onto the roof now. It's about another 60 steps, slightly under, I think it's 58. This is a narrow staircase, and it doesn't have a handrail, I'm afraid, so you'll need to hold on to the central pillar or to the wall at the edge. And there's a low door at the top.
Okay.
I'm staying here. I live here now. Wow. Wow. This is, I live here now, okay. I'm not going back down. No, I'm obviously joking. But
You might get a bit chilly up here.
I get to cool down a little bit.
Yeah, it's not that warm today actually.
Yeah. I imagine it's hard work in August.
Well, it can be hot. I mean, when we got these
Yeah, fleeces
cathedral
on.
fleeces, we were told we must always wear the tartars. I thought to myself, if it's 35 degrees.
Yes, you're not doing
Wow, what a view.
that. On a less misty day,
Yes, it's not brilliant today actually because of the haze. Okay, so we'll just run round and point out what we can see. If we start looking this way, if you look down the nave roof, even this is quite difficult because of the mist today. You can see you're going off into the trees, and in the trees you should just be able to see there's a house. Can you see it?
Yeah.
That's Thorpe Hall, which was built from the stones of the cathedral. And the builder, Oliver St John, Oliver Cromwell's Lord Chief Justice,
yeah, that's it.
possibly deliberately, as a sort of thumbing his nose at the cathedral, put it on the line with the cathedral's axis. If we come a bit closer, you can see St John's Church in the square.
Yep.
That's where the people of Peterborough went to church. They didn't come here. This great big building was built for at most about 80 Benedictine monks. And then if we come closer still,
That's my exercise for the
you can
back.
see that there's a tower on the right hand side, on the north side, and they've started a tower on the left hand side, the south side, but they haven't finished it. If you look at the stonework on the tower on the left hand side, you can see it's pretty rough, so it looks as if they ran out of money. Some people say they stopped because the ground wouldn't support it, but I just don't think that's right. They ran out of money, but then they must have had an influx of money, because instead of finishing with 2 towers there, so it would look like Wells or Westminster Abbey or something like that, they built the magnificent 3-arch west front that we have today. And probably what happened was that Abbot Benedict came from being Prior of Canterbury to being Abbot of Peterborough, and he brought with him some Thomas of Becket relics, which were the best relics you could have in medieval England, and they would have brought in lots of money from pilgrims to enable the West Front to be built. And they didn't do what we would do these days and finish off on the Dunbar line, just left that. If we work around clockwise, we're going to struggle to see much at all today, to be honest. If you look over there, the white building is the prison. It's a twin prison, a male prison and a female prison. There are a couple of mosques. You can see the nearer one, the biggest mosque in Peterborough, over there beyond the white building. And I can see where the other one is. Struggle. On a good day, you can see Crowland Abbey over in that direction, but there's no sign of it today. If you look at that tall building with the masts on the top, over there, we were to build higher than this in Peterborough, in the centre of Peterborough. St John's Church used to be down on this side. The reason why the cathedral's built here is because it's the last place as you go east which doesn't flood, or didn't flood before the vents were drained. So St John's used to flood all the time. So in 1400, the people of Peterborough petitioned the Pope to move it to that side, and he allowed that. So St John's Church down there dates from about 1401, 1402. Over there is the Perkins diesel plant, which was fairly famous for diesel engines. There's a power station there. In the distance there you can see brickworks. There used to be hundreds of brickwork chimneys running around Peterborough. And there used to be, even when I started doing this about 9 years ago, more than there are now. We've just got those 3 left now. Between the right-hand brickwork chimney and the left-hand wind generator, you can just see Whittlesea Church. Now, on a good day, you can see the West Tower of Ely Cathedral from that direction, but there's absolutely no sign of it today. And then as we come round, we've got the river running. You can just see bits of it down there, so you can see how close it was. So the stone could easily be, the stone and the wood in fact, which would have come across the North Sea from North Germany and Poland, could easily have been got to where it was needed for the cathedral. If we come up, well, in the distance you can see the blue thing is the IKEA warehouse. The zigzag thing is the stand at Peterborough United football ground. There's a good 1930s Lido down there, which is still in use. I can't see anyone swimming today. And then if we come closer, we can see some of the monastic buildings. So if you look at the long building with the mossy roof, is the old monastic almonry. So people who have fallen on hard times would come there, and the almoner will how genuine hard work they were. I'll give you a couple of minutes just to look around and take a picture if you'd like to, and then we'll make our way down. It's stunning.
I don't know whether we were around yesterday, but the bell ringing from St John's. Oh, it was brilliant. Yes, they were obviously going through a period.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting, what I found interesting, was I then came up to the cathedral, and to hear the sound of the bells ricocheting on the west. It was amazing. It was making it really interesting, syncopated.
We do have there's a ring of bells in the West Tower, which you'll see
how
down
is
there.
that run?
They're generally just run for practice on, I think, Wednesday, and for the service on Sunday morning.
So tomorrow morning.
So you should hear them tomorrow morning. Yeah. It's a fairly heavy ring. The heaviest, there's a ring of 12, but they're actually 13. The heaviest is about a ton.
Right. You've been up the tower and heavy ring.
Yes, quite recently actually.
Do you have to wear?
No, it's loud, but not too loud. The place what I did, which was extraordinary, was the Boston Stump. Do you know that?
No.
St Botolph's Church in Boston. It's a really high medieval tower, and I was allowed to climb up that while they were being rung. And you walked around outside the bell chamber, and it was ridiculously loud there. I had to go around like
yourself
this.
some damage, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why is St John's, is it?
Yes, St John's Church.
Why is that not on
True east-west. The answer is there wasn't enough room to put it all in around the other buildings when it was moved in 1402. So that was the only space available, so it had to go to this right angle.
So the grid that you talked about before when you established that it wasn't exactly east-west. Having said that, churches like this are often not exactly east-west. I don't know how accurate this is. I don't know how they'd have determined east and west, whether they'd have done it with a compass or whether they'd have done it with a sidereal method, looking at stars or the sun or what.
Well, I would have thought measure it on certain days, you know, measure it on
They
Midsummer
had
Day.
Sunday,
You know, I mean, as with they worked it out for Stonehenge, didn't they? And,
They did, yeah.
So
Well, that's done specifically for the rising of the sun.
Yeah.
And the sun
Yeah.
but presumably that establishes true east. So,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, yes, the rising of the sun at the equinox establishes true east. Right. Okay.
Right, well,
we better
wonderful.
we
Thank
better
you
go
very
now.
much. Yeah.
And it's not actually raining. So
No, it's not actually raining.
Oh, you can see the steam train running up there.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh, is that thing, is it in that direction?
That's the end of the Neat Valley Railway, is just past Asda over there, yes. So that'll be the 11:30 back to Wanstead. Yeah, it's steam at the weekends, yes. So I'll point you in the direction of that when we finish.
Yes, thank you. It's just while I'm here, I might as well make the most of my day, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Some of it's from Wales and some of it's from Lake District. So this slate is from a different place to the slate on all the other routes, and I can never remember which way round it is. And I only know that because I had a slate expert and he told me which way left. I think. No, I don't know.
Right. Duck.
Yeah, I'm going to say duck and then grab the metal pole that is straight in front of you. And then just pause for a minute before you start going down. 1, 2. Right, I'm not coming in behind you because once I shut the door, the light goes.
God, these steps are narrow.
Yep. Ooh. You want to keep going down?
Sorry?
Yes, you keep going down all the way to the bottom, please, sir.
Right.
Don't go through any door.
You both okay?
Yes, yes, I'm good, thank you.
You must be nearly there now.
Yes, yes.
That's right, there's about another half dozen steps to
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so on this side, this is the north side. On the south side was where the abbot lived. The abbot of Peterborough was a big, well-controlled, often looking away from the church on national business.
Oh, I made that look so graceful, didn't I?
Come into Parliament, things like that. And the prior who actually ran the church lived in the house down there, and that was until recently the Dean's house, but the people had actually financial problems to sell it a few years ago. Right, we'll walk on here and we'll get to the lowest door that you'll encounter.
Fascinating. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. No, I'm gonna say I thought you were filming.
Just taking loads of pictures.
You definitely have to duck here. Yeah, go in left leg first, sir. Left leg and left hand. Okay.
Oh, blimey, yeah. That is tight.
Mind the steps up to it as well.
All good?
Yes, all good.
Right, we're going to go really quickly now. So let's do a few steps in about 7 minutes.
Battery. Run out of battery. Oh well, no point changing it now.
Okay, I just brought you in here really quickly to show you this. This is a windlass. It was used for lifting the stones on this that were used to build the cathedral. It's probably the oldest machine in England. built in about 1150. So the central beam is made of an oak tree, which would have been growing at the time of the Norman Conquest, about 84 years before that. The way it worked was the man would climb up these rungs, and as he did that, the whole thing would rotate, and a rope wrapped around the middle would lift up a basket. I'm sorry, we're going to have to rush on now. That's all we're going to get on that.
But it would have been men rather than horses and donkeys.
Yes. This model wouldn't work.
Oh, thank you.
This model wouldn't have worked with horses and donkeys because donkeys are rubbish on ladders. But a later model, like this one in Salisbury Cathedral, I think would have been used with a donkey.
Yes.
And had we got a bit more time, I could show you a clip of a donkey using one of these. But we are going to have to go straight down. Yeah.
That's one for YouTube.
Mind your head on it because it's hard wood, it's harder than brick.
Is that right?
You've got the light. Oh, Mark, you've done it, yeah?
Thank you, young.
This is what I call a civilised spiral staircase.
Don't you think it's civilised? There are one or two stones which are
right.
uneven.
Okay.
They cause me out before. If you think you can go speeding down here, you can't. Oh, I know, this is it. And I said it'll be strange when you get to ground level because the muscles will all be used to working differently.
Yeah.
But here we are. Don't forget your backpack on the way out.
No, there it is. Still there.
Oh,
Marvellous.
Brilliant. Thank you, Keith. Very
That's
much.
quite all right.
Absolutely
That's
brilliant.
quite all right. Anytime, sir. I hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely superb.
Oh, don't go up those stairs.
Oh, it's a long way, is it?
I was 6'4" when I started. Now look at me.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, that was fascinating. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you, Keith.
That's quite all right.
so
I'm going
much.
to say enjoy the rest of your time.
Right, where,
Let me hand over to the next guy because there's another tour going short. And then I'll come back to you. I'll find the wife.
thank you.
Don't go just yet.
Right,
Just in case.
right.